Hi guys, just finished watching the New Zealand versus Wales game, the bronze medal final playoff. Final score, New Zealand 40, Wales 17. In a sense, that was kind of not unexpected. New Zealand, they don't lose two games in a row. This New Zealand team under Hansen and previously Henry, they just don't lose two games in a row, and I thought they were going to bounce back here and bounce back pretty well, and they did that. There's arguments to be made about New Zealand's selection as to whether some of the team that played today should have played in the semi-final against England. And with regards to Wales, I think there's some things they can be proud of as well going forward. In attack, they looked to spread the ball a lot more and played some decent stuff at times. But on the whole, defensively, in comparison to what they're normally like, they were looked a bit too passive for my liking. They looked a bit out on their feet, and they also didn't cope with New Zealand's offloading game all that well. I mean, when New Zealand were just, sort of making the passes out the back door, hitting lines, and making angles, exploiting Wales. Wales really struggled with that, both through the middle and when the ball was spread wide, which in the end took its toll, and New Zealand won very comfortably. I'm just going to talk about the game now. First try epitomised what I said with New Zealand's offloading. Just great through the middle play. Eventually went to Joe Moody. Moody went over and scored. He ran from about just after the 10-metre line and went over and scored. The second try in the build-up, there was a bit of dubious play with Dane Coles. Apparently, it looked like he was slightly tackled and got to his feet. It was a bit dubious, but it is what it is. Some of those get referees pick up, others they don't. So that is what it is. But then eventually it comes to Aaron Smith, who takes the ball, draws the Wales defence, and slips it back inside to Beauden Barrett, who runs between the posts and scores a great try. Wales then bounced back, and I thought they actually played pretty well for a period of time afterwards, and they just went through the phases, and then they went wide to Halamimos, who did a classic dummy out wide, pulled the New Zealand defence wide, and then cut inside and scored a good try. And then Ben Smith got a double. Ben Smith, one of the players I'm surprised wasn't at least in the 23 against England, because he's such a brilliant rugby player. He took the ball after Wales were caught napping at a breakdown. Sonny Bill Williams counter-rucked, and Brodie Retallick got the ball. They went through the middle. Ben Smith stepped inside, stepped outside, and then went over and scored a great try. And then just before half-time, Ben Smith scored again in the corner. Like I said, the guy is a brilliant player. He was the best fullback in the world up until about a couple of years ago, and it kind of baffles me that he wasn't, at least in the 23, against England and Ireland. But it is what it is. Second half, it was a little bit of a turgid second half. It kind of fizzled out a bit. I think both teams looked a bit tired and a bit like they didn't have the energy for a second half. But it started well from New Zealand's point of view. They just carried on where they left off in the first half. A line-out steal by Brodie Retallick, who was deservedly man of the match today, went through the phases, got the ball to Sonny Bill Williams. Sonny Bill Williams with his classic offload, brilliant offload to Ryan Crotty, who ran an excellent line and scored the try. Wales tried to respond after that. It took them a wee while to get into things, but eventually they did get over through Josh Adams through well-worked phases. And eventually he just was quite close to the line and scored. And then New Zealand finished it off a scrum with Brad Wedber picking out Richie Mo'unga. Richie Mo'unga exploited Dan Biggar's weakness in defence, went round him and scored in the corner, missed the conversion, but so it finished 40-17. Overall, obviously both teams will be disappointed that they didn't get into the final of the World Cup. Any team would be, of course. But I think New Zealand, they can be happy enough to have finished this tournament with a win, albeit I know they definitely won't be happy that it wasn't a win in the final. But I think Kieran Reid, who's bowing out of international rugby, Ben Smith bowing out, Ryan Crotty and Sonny Bill Williams pretty much certainly bowing out as well. They all had great games. Brodie Retallick had a great game. Kieran Reid was just everywhere. I mean, that was Kieran Reid back to his best today, and he really showed that. I mean, I've never seen him so quiet as he was against England. Some of that wasn't his fault with the intensity England were playing at, but a lot of it, I think he could have done better that game. I think he knows that himself. But today he was everywhere and he was absolutely immense. So overall, he can be pleased with his performance. In comparison to the England game from New Zealand's point of view, I think they were a bit lucky that they were up against a Welsh defence that looked tired, looked a bit out on their feet, and Wales, by their standards, they were very passive. The intensity and aggression in their defence, they're capable of, that was certainly there against South Africa. For the most part, they just didn't repeat that at all today, and New Zealand exploited it. Whereas England last week, they were just all over New Zealand in every department. Wales, as I said, from a positive standpoint, they showed they can spread the ball more, and if they got the balance right between how they defended against South Africa, apart from that Damian Delande try they conceded, and how they attacked in parts today, then they've got a balance of a very good team going forward. But again, it's just like and South Africa's out wide defence was worse than New Zealand's out wide defence today, and it was like they were just so restricted in how they played against South Africa, like they weren't allowed to play that way last week. And again, I think they should have done. I mean, they showed promising signs. Obviously, players like Reece Patchell, who could be a very good 10 going forward, but he's still got that flaky edge to him. Tomas Williams at 9 is definitely a better passer than Gareth Davis. Gareth Davis is a good sniper and he's got good feet and pace, but I think Williams has got a bit more brains in him and a better pass in him, and I think the games Williams has come off the bench, he's had a very good impact and he played well in the 55 minutes or so that he played today. Another thing to mention for Wales, which I've not mentioned yet, is Alan Wynne-Jones. What an absolute legend of a rugby player he is. And is that his last game in an international shirt? For his sake and for my Welsh friend's sake, I hope not. I think looks like he's definitely got another couple of good years in him, and could possibly go on to lead the Lions before he calls it a day. But that'll be up to him, of course. He's 34 now. He's not getting any younger, but still, what an immense player, up there with some of the greatest locks who've ever played the game of rugby, without a question. I mean, I just think he's an absolute legend. He's a monster. He's the sort of player that you look at and think he's the player that those who like the sort of flash game and those who like, just seeing what players do with a rugby ball and the lines they run, he's the sort of player that fans like that don't appreciate as much as fans who understand the building blocks that are needed for a team to perform and for a team to have a platform. And there's very few forwards that do it as well as Alan Wynne-Jones does. What a player, and what a man as well. Going forward, obviously both teams are getting new coaches in. Well done to both Steve Hansen and to Warren Gatland for the legacies they leave behind. Steve Hansen, I mean, it's just indisputable what he's done. Disappointed with this World Cup not winning it, and no doubt New Zealand fans are, and understandable, but I don't think that should take away how well Steve Hansen has done. Warren Gatland, the same from a Wales point of view. I don't think they should be down on him whatsoever. I mean, he's achieved some of the greatest feats in Welsh rugby history under his guidance, and obviously with the Lions as well, with a series win in Australia and a series draw against New Zealand. It's bloody good, so well done to him there. I think that's all I've got to say in this video, guys. I'll have a preview of the final coming up a bit later today. Hope you like what I had to say here. Well done to New Zealand, commiserations to Wales, and look forward to the final tomorrow. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll catch you later on.